Welcome, my name is Tim, and in this short video, I'm going to guide you through all the steps in order to troubleshoot a faulty run capacitor on the indoor blower motor of the residential air conditioner. So to begin with, we need to make sure the thermostat's calling for cooling, and we're going to click the selector switch here outlined in orange, which will turn the selector switch to cool. This will also turn the temperature setting of the thermostat down below the room temperature. Now at the end of each step, don't forget to click the procedure guide at the top here. Next, we need to see which loads are running. Well, our indoor fan motor or indoor blower motor is not operating. If it was running, you could hear it, or you could see these arrows actually spinning. So we're going to click No here on the procedure guide. And we're going to proceed to our outdoor unit where we can see that both the compressor and condenser fan are in fact operating. Now with this type of problem with no airflow across the indoor evaporator coil, this will most likely cause icing of the coil. And if the unit has a low pressure switch, it may or may not cycle off on that low pressure switch. So once we've determined that both the outdoor fan or condenser fan and compressor are running, click Yes. Next, we're going to remove the cover from the indoor unit. Now, once we've done that, click OK. But before we take any voltage readings, let's click on the indoor unit wiring diagram here at the bottom left and come up with a list of possible causes of this malfunction. Well, we know the outdoor unit is running, which means this contactor coil right here is receiving 24 volts. It's pulling in its contacts and starting the outdoor unit. However, our indoor unit is not running. So it's possible we have a bad blower motor. It's possible the capacitor here is bad, which is in series to the start winding. It's also possible that we have a faulty indoor fan relay, meaning that either the coil could be bad or possibly these contacts that allow power to the indoor blower motor and capacitor. And last, it's possible the fan switch shown here within the thermostat is faulty. And again, the thermostat can fail individual functions. So we know the thermostat contacts are providing power out of the Y terminal to the contactor coil because those two outdoor units are running. But again, it's possible that maybe just the fan switch is faulty. So armed with these four possible causes, we're going to do a little investigation and see which one is at fault. So let's store the wiring diagram temporarily, and don't forget to follow the procedure guide at the top. So I'm going to slide the meter out of my way just a little bit, and we're going to begin by checking for 24 volts at the fan relay coil or the indoor fan relay coil. And we can place our leads across the green and blue wire connections, and we have 24 volts there. Now, if you're unsure on component location and color codes, simply click on the wiring diagram here again at the bottom left. And here we can see the color codes that correspond to the actual wires on the unit. And also we can see the placement of our meter leads. So here we have our black and red lead measuring right across the indoor fan relay coil. And this is going to really help you to locate these components in the actual circuitry of the unit. So again, I'm going to store the diagram back away. We're going to click yes that we've measured for 24 volts. Our next step is to measure for line voltage at the indoor fan relay connections at the top. Now, there's a possibility that we have an interruption of power due to a break in one of these wire nuts here. So we're going to verify that right now. And when we place the leads at the glowing orange hotspots, we do in fact have 240 volts. So we're receiving power to the relay. Our next step is to verify that the relay is actually pulling its contacts in. So after clicking yes, we're going to move our meter leads to the load side of the indoor fan relay, right here at the bottom. And this is going right to the indoor blower motor and the capacitor. And we do have 240 volts here. Now again, let's pull out the wiring diagram again for just a second. And we can see our meter leads are measuring 240 volts at the load side of the relay, and this just verifies that the relay contact's closed. So now we've narrowed our focus to either the indoor blower motor itself or possibly the capacitor. Click yes on the procedure guide. And next, we're going to turn off the disconnect because we're going to need to make a capacitance and possibly some resistance checks. And we can't do that with the power on. So click the handle on the disconnect and then click OK on the procedure guide. At this point, it's probably a little easier to check the capacitor first, although it doesn't really matter where you check the indoor blower motor winding resistance or the capacitor, but we're going to begin with the capacitor. So the first thing is we need to click on it and isolate it. Click Isolate, which will disconnect the wires from the capacitor. Click OK on the procedure guide, and our next step is to turn your multimeter to microfarads. Place the leads across the capacitor again after they've been discharged and isolated. And we're going to measure for 10 microfarads since this is the rating on this capacitor, and it should be within 10% of that value. And when we do that, we have 0 microfarads. So this indicates that our capacitor is faulty. Now this capacitor is wired in series to the start line of the blower motor. So if the capacitor is open or faulty, the blower motor will not operate. So is the capacitor within 10%? Well, no, it's not. It's 0. At this point, we're going to replace the capacitor. We're going to click on it and click Replace on the menu. Click OK on the procedure guide, and you're going to need to turn the power back on. Once the power has been reestablished, you fix the problem, but we need to just verify that cold air is being delivered to the house. So we go upstairs and we look at this register, and we can see from the graphic that this floor register is in fact delivering cool air to the space. Now, if you're not clear on some of the steps that we just took in this process, click on this top left tab, and this will allow you to review each step in the process. Good luck on your service calls, and I'll see you back here soon. Thanks for watching. You can try our on-demand VR-enabled learning for HVAC by signing up for a free trial. Go to interplaylearning.com to get started.